about that your child problem. Om Tyageshwaram Ramakrishnam Sharadam Matra Rupinim Vivekananda Mahacharyam Natva Vakshami Shuddhe Yogena Chittasya Padena Vacham Malam Sharirasya Cha Bhaishajena Yopa Karottam Pravaram Muninam Patanjalim Pranjali Ranatosmi. We have been discussing the niyamas of the 5 niyamas. We have studied Shuchi Santosha, that is purity and contentment, and also tapas, that is the austerity. In last class we discussed this Swadhyaya and Ishvara Pranidhana. Swadhyaya is a study of spiritual books, mainly scriptures. But when we say scriptures or spiritual books, we should know that we are talking of very authentic books like Upanishads, Gita and all that. So we study of those books, and also Pranava Japa, repeating name, is also part of this Svadhyaya. We need this because we need to have a philosophical framework to lead our spiritual life. For that it is almost mandatory that we either read or hear, it doesn't matter. Earlier times they used to only hear, listen. So by reading, listening, we should arrive at a philosophical framework for our spiritual life. Which form, which aspect of the truth appeals to us? What is our goal? How are we going to proceed? So all these matters we should be very kind of convinced about. To have that, we should have this study, the habit, the practice, anushtana of Swadhyaya. Because see, we live in this world and we come across so many spiritual thoughts, especially nowadays, so many streams of thought, so many practices and all that. So unless we are convinced as to what we want and how we are going to get what we want in spiritual life, there is every danger that we will go astray. We will waste our time, maybe land in trouble and all that might happen. So we should be very clear about what we want. Secondly, as we grow in spiritual life, our doubts will change, our problems will change. The problems, spiritual problems that we have today may not be, same problems may not be there after few years. So where do we get answers? The answers are only in the scripture. So this continuous repeated habit, continuation of this habit of Swadhyaya is important. Every time we read, we get new light, so to say. Maybe words will be same, but we have evolved. So we come to know finer and finer nuances of the spiritual life, more solutions to our problems. All this happens when we are undertaking this Swadhyaya. That's why it is one of the niyamas. And as one of the persons who explains these things says, Swadhyaya also means self-analysis. Our own study of one's own mind. So that also is important. We should keep on studying ourselves. Every day we could spend some time in finding out where we are going in terms of our spiritual life. What is our level of commitment and how we are conducting ourselves and all that. So that self-analysis, study of oneself is also part of this Swadhyaya. And it's an important discipline and very useful. And that's why he has put it as niyama, do. And it's kind of mandatory for the sadhakas. And then the next was all important Ishvara Pranidhana. As we said, this is the 3rd time this word is coming. This discipline of Ishvara Pranidhana is being referred to in the Yoga Sutras. And here it is, Ishvara Pranidhana means Sarvakarmanam Paramaguru Arpanam. That is offering of all actions unto the Lord, who is the Guru of all Gurus. That is the Vyasa Bhashya. Patanjali only says Ishvara Pranidhana. But this Ishvara Pranidhana, depending on the adhikari, on the aspirant, will have different connotations and meanings. We saw that. In the first chapter, when we were dealing with the Uttamadhikari, or the highest kind of aspirant, it had a different meaning. Tajjabastadartha bhavanam. It was more meditation on Ishvara Tattva. But in the second chapter, it is more about dedicating all actions unto God. That is the difference. But that's what it is, because this second chapter is sadhana pada, and it is meant for madhyama and adhamadhikaris, middling and the lowest kind of aspirants. So here Ishvara Pranidhana is offering all actions unto God. As we discussed in our last class, there would be some repetition, but it's an important subject. It's a simple one-sentence discipline, so to say, offer all actions unto God. One-sentence discipline, so to say, like a small key. But it opens a vista, a vast treasure of spiritual experiences, that this practice, so to say, has the potential to open a treasure, spiritual treasures of invaluable worth, so to say. And it is not only this Patanjali Yoga Sutra. Gita is full of teachings. Gita emphasizes this. That's what one of the so to the stages of Karma Yoga, you can say, or one of the strains or shades of Karma Yoga as expounded in the Gita is this: offering of all actions unto God. Yat karoshi yadashnasi yat juhoshi. We discussed it last time. So whatever you do, you offer it unto. Tat kurushu madarpanam. That's the second point. It's also propounded by Gita and many other Bhagavata, many Puranas, many scriptures have this particular discipline emphasized on for the spiritual aspirants. This is important because, see, how long can we meditate? How long we can spend time closing our eyes and doing meditation or exclusive japa and all that? We can't. We are not adept to do it, and our responsibilities also won't allow. So we have to get out. We have to get out of our worship room. We have to work in the world. We have to do all things. So work, or so to say non-meditation, occupies a vast chunk of our day-to-day time and life. Now if this is not handled properly, this time, and this activity called work is not handled properly, two ways it affects us. One is we are losing that time, obviously. That time we are not able to practice any spiritual discipline while we are working, unless we figure something out. It's a waste so far as spiritual gain is concerned. But that's not the only negative side of it. The other is, during that time when we are working, when we are in the world, we are exposing ourselves to so many counter-spiritual ideas, people, visuals, thoughts, what we hear, everywhere it is all, so to say, counter-spiritual, against spirituality. We are exposing ourselves to that. So we are filling our mind with all these, so to say, counter-spiritual thoughts and images and words, and then coming an evening trying to meditate. It's not really going to work. So both ways, not only we do not make use of that time when we work, it is actually being it is being spent in a counterproductive way. And both these can be handled if we take up this practice of offering all actions unto God. Now this protects us, so to say, shields us from all the non-spiritual or counter-spiritual influences that the world has the potential to have on us. It protects us from all the counter-spiritual influences of the world and facilitates our progress in spiritual life simultaneously. So both things are happening. We are protected and we are able to lead our spiritual life even while working. That's why this discipline is emphasized. And the discipline says, Sarva Karmanam Ishwari Arpanam. Now, Yoga and Patanjali, they do not believe in God who is the creator, sustainer and destroyer of this universe. Srishti Sthiti Laya Karta Ishvara, they don't believe. For them, God is Purve Shamapi Guru. He is the Guru of all Gurus. But there is Sarvagnatva Bija, he is all-knowing person. But the speciality is, their Ishvara has the potential, has the capacity to bestow liberation on sincere yogis. That is their concept of Ishvara. We have seen that earlier. But Vedanta and Bhakti schools and all, we believe that God is the creator of this universe. So it's easy for us to offer all actions unto God. Because God has created this world and whatever we are doing, it belongs to God. God is the owner, so to say. So this bhava, bhava is a word. You can translate it roughly as mental attitude, though it doesn't exactly translate it, but this bhava, to have this bhava always in the mind as we work, whatever be the work, that this is my offering unto God, unto my Ishtadevata, unto my Ishvara. This is my offering. It doesn't cost us even a dime to have this bhava. To have this bhava while we work, that this is my seva, this is my offering to my Ishtadevata, to my God. Just as we offer flowers, fruits and all that to God, I am offering this work of mine unto God. That's what the practice specifically is. To offer all actions unto God means what? To have this bhava, to have this mental attitude, that whatever work I am doing right now is my offering unto my Ishtadevata, unto my God. This is the crux of this practice. Not easy to say, but it is very difficult to have this bhava always. We may decide and all that, but the moment we open our eyes and go out is the end of it, so to say. So to begin with, we just have to have certain disciplines, like every day once we sit and recollect or recount all that we did in the day and then offer it at the feet of our Ishtadevata or our God. All the work, meditation, its results and the doer, everything we offer at the feet of God. That's, so to say, the beginning of it, the beginning of this practice. Then if we are able to, we can do the same thing at the beginning and the end of every work, because our day generally is split into many chunks of work. See, very few people will start at one point and 10 hours do continuously same work without any kind of break. That's very rarely few people will have to do. Even they might have some sub-chunks in their work. So the day is, so to say, or the working time is split into chunks, and every chunk, so to say, beginning of it, we say, I'm going to offer this work to God, pray to God, and then maybe in the middle we remember God, that this is your work I'm doing, and then at the end of it, again we offer it to God. So the whole day gets split into many chunks of such offerings unto God. And this is how this practice can be inculcated and developed, because it's an important practice and it has a great potential. So this is the crux of the practice is told. How we can cultivate it, that is also told. And the benefit of it, the benefit, it is best experienced by everyone. As we practice it, we will know what potential it has to change our life. A simple example we can give. So now we say this world belongs to God, and God has created everything. God has created everything. God has created. All work belongs to God, but everything is happening by the will of God. But that's only a matter of speech for us. It's not the feeling that comes from the heart. It's just a matter of speech, that this world belongs to God. We have ownership towards all the work that we do. We have ownership towards it, and we attribute ownership to ourselves, to others, for various happenings in the world. Whatever is happening, we know there is some person responsible for this, X, Y, Z, or nature at best. So we attribute this ownership to happenings in the world. We have a sense of ownership towards what we do. We know God, it is the God who has created us also and the work also. Both are created by God. But still we have this limited, so to say, view that this is our work. And so to say, person is responsible for what is happening and all that. So these kind of ideas we have in us. But when we practice these things, what are we doing? By offering all our work to God, we are actually asserting the fact that this world belongs to God. It's kind of a reverse engineering. By offering all our actions unto God, we are in the reverse way asserting that the world belongs to God, that the work belongs to God. Aham hi sarva yajnanam bhukta cha prabhureva cha. God says in the Gita, of all yajnas, I am the bhukta, I am the enjoyer, and I am the Prabhu, I am the Lord. Of all the yajnas, whoever is doing that yajna, I am the bhukta and I am the Lord. So that it's kind of reverse engineering, as I say. When we practice this attitude that I am offering this work unto God, in a subtle way we are asserting the fact that the work and the world belongs to God. And this connection, this belonging of the world to God, that thought becomes more and more strong in our mind. We also feel that by God's wish, people are behaving the way they are behaving. We don't hold anyone responsible for it. It doesn't take away the responsibility from us. We have to do what we have to do. If something has gone wrong, and if we are in a position to set it right, if it is our duty to set it right, we have to do it. But who is responsible for it? So much time is spent on it and so much of mental energies are wasted. All that will come down. We will become calmer. We'll accept facts as they are and do whatever needs to be done. So what is a matter of speech for us today will kind of become a matter of some kind of experience. So this is one on the outer front, so to say, the God, its relation to world and all that. Also, God's having become the world, we will have that kind of lifting of veil also. You know, what we say, then what we really feel, there is difference. So again, beyond that is actual experience. That is entirely different matter. But there is something between just saying and experiencing. There is something between these two. Something like genuine feeling, genuine experiencing. It may not be the highest experience, but a firm faith, so to say. Lifting of veil, you can say. So that happens when we undertake this practice of dedicating all actions unto God. This penetration of God into the world, we are able to discover, so to say, in various forms how God has penetrated this world. We are able to discover. On the other side, about our real nature also, there is this lifting of veil, so to say. When we undertake this practice is very potential. We'll see how Vyasa describes the results of this practice, the commentator, to what level he says this practice can take us. So presently, we are fully convinced we are this body, having a particular gender and whatever, varna, ashrama, everything, stage and station in life, we are fully convinced. We know we have a mind and all that, and then we have this personality, name, form, all that. But we also know this is a veil. This is an assumed personality, so to say. We have read scriptures, and if we analyze a bit, we can intellectually at least feel that we cannot be this body. And there are various logics, tarkas, to substantiate that. But all that is at the level of speech and intellect. But when we undertake this practice, we are able to actually feel, at least at times, or feel more realistically that yes, we cannot be this body, we cannot be this personality. So because when we are offering all actions unto God, slowly we offer the results also unto God, the results of those actions, and that kind of works by lifting of veil from our idea about ourselves. So on one side, the relation between God and world, it becomes clearer and clearer to us. On other side, our idea about ourselves, that keeps on becoming clearer and clearer. Both sides, this particular practice helps in purifying our mind, and perhaps this is one of the aspects of purity of mind. So this is why this particular discipline, niyama, Ishvara Pranidhana, is emphasized. And as I said, Vyasa goes to a great extent. Samsara bija kshaya ikshamana. He said, such a person, he is giving visheshanas, adjectives to such a person who has advanced in this practice of Ishvara Pranidhana. He is samsara bija kshaya ikshamana. That person is witnessing the kshaya, the destruction of his samsara bija, of his ignorance, of the seed of ignorance. He is witnessing. That is, he is palpably feeling, experiencing how his ignorance is being destroyed. And Amrita Bhoga Bhagi, he becomes sharer of that immortality. He becomes the sharer of immortality. He experiences immortality. That is the level to which this practice can take us. It has that potential, this practice of offering all actions unto God. And that is why this is an important practice, and perhaps that's why it is stated 3 times in this Yoga Sutra. Now with this we complete this subject of yamas and niyamas. 5 niyamas and 5 yamas, 5 don'ts and 5 do's. When we completed yamas, the concept of yamas, there was the concept of sarvabhauma, mahavrata, desha, kala, samaya, aparichhinna, sarvabhauma, mahavratam. Those yamas are to be practiced irrespective of jati, desha, kala, samaya. And when they are so practiced, they kind of say get converted into mahavrata, great vows. They become universal. Universal for that particular individual. That particular individual has absolutely no exclusions from the practice of those yamas. If a person has assumed that vow of ahimsa, under no circumstances, at no time, at no place, for no reason, that person will stick to that vow of ahimsa. Then it becomes mahavrata. We've discussed that. But after this niyamas, there is no concept of mahavrata, or there is no concept of sarvabhaumatva. Sarvabhaumatva comes only for yamas. It doesn't come for niyamas. And the reason is, for a sadhaka, these are mandatory. These niyamas are mandatory for a sadhaka. And also the yamas. Yamas and niyamas, both are mandatory for a sadhaka. We have to stick to these. But for a siddha, for a mukta purusha, these niyamas are kind of voluntary. We see in many places, jivan muktas, they may not really so much be worried about external purity. Or you may not see that person undergoing serious swadhyaya and all that. That purpose is served. That person is now has no identification with body. So where is the question of purity of body and all that? So niyamas are optional only for siddha purushas, not for sadhakas. For sadhakas, niyama both are mandatory. But for a siddha purusha, niyamas are optional. But the commentator who says this and those who explain, they say yamas, they are mandatory in the sense the life of the siddha purusha will be such that it will never violate yamas. The life of a jivan mukta will be such that it will never violate yamas. It may violate niyamas. That person may not take bath. We find in Sri Ramakrishna's life that a person, jnani, had come and all that. So that person may not follow or these niyamas may not find place in that person's life, but yamas, satya, ahimsa, brahmacharya, asteya, aparigraha, these invariably will be there in the life of a Siddha Purusha. And that is the criteria actually. If we find any Siddha Purusha or we think that person is a Siddha Purusha, but there is any violation of these yamas, then it's a sham. There cannot be violation of yamas in the life of a Jivan Mukta. All right. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Tat Sat. Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.